villain. Black anorak, black shirt, black trousers. Even the buckle on his belt was matte black. I might not have known my own name, but I knew that my John Doe had cash. Every item of his clothing was heavy and expensive. I reached into his anorak pocket and drew out a single object. A solid metal sphere with a clip attached. Some sort of key fob, I guessed, although there were no keys attached to it. Disappointed, I kept searching. In his trouser pockets I found a half-empty pack of mint chewing gum. There was nothing else. I pulled away, the scent of his aftershave combined with the reek of his blood doing nothing for the state of my stomach. Then I hesitated and leaned forward again, pushing him onto his side. My fingers delved into his back pocket. Empty. This time, however, as I drew away once more, I spotted the sword lying on the ground. The man's body had been concealing it. Even with the congealed blood staining its surface, the blade was obviously well looked after. I touched it gingerly with the tip of my finger, hissing when it sliced through my skin. A moment later, the cut began to burn. Grey smoke rose from my flesh, wisping upwards into the air. I yelped desperately, rubbing the wound against the wet grass. The smoke dissipated, but my fingers still throbbed with pain. Gas bud-licking bastards! The blade was poisoned. A chemical, perhaps, or some designer compound. No. Acid. It had to be acid. I looked in horror from the man to the sword and back again. A distant part of my brain told me to run, as if the man or the sword, or both of them, were about to rise up and attack me. But my feet felt like lead. A voice in my head screamed to me to move, but my body simply wouldn't obey. I licked my lips. My thoughts were almost as sluggish as my limbs. Amnesia, concussion, and a dead body. It was a hell of a way to spend a night. I gritted my teeth, willing myself to turn away, but before I could achieve such a heady goal, I paused. Something about the way the anorak lay against a man's spine didn't look right. Avoiding going anywhere near the damn blade again, I lunged towards him with outstretched hands and flipped up the material. A leather sheath, black again, naturally, lay snug against his back. It had to be designed for the very sword that now rested on the ground between us. "You brought me out here," I whispered, raising my uninjured hand to the gash on my cheek. "You lured me here, and you tried to kill me." A nervous laugh rose to my lips. "Didn't work, you evil arse-badger. I got you first." Obviously. I should call the police. The boys in blue would keep me safe and investigate this crime. I might have killed the man in black, but any fool would recognise it was in self-defence. He was twice my size, and he'd brought his own damned poisoned sword. I nodded. Get off this golf course, find a phone, call the coppers. If I'd been reported missing by those who loved me, the police would know about it. I could be returned to the bosom of my loving family within hours. I ran my hands over the slight curve of my stomach. Did I have children? Were they crying for me even now? I spun round, and my body finally obeyed my commands. I whooped weakly. No doubt this amnesia business would wear off quickly too. With any luck, my nightmare was already coming to an end. An old red phone box stood in front of the single-story clubhouse. It might have been there for purely nostalgic reasons, but I was pathetically grateful all the same. When I lifted the cracked plastic receiver and heard a dial tone, I almost sobbed. I punched in 999, barely pausing to wonder how I could remember that number, but not my own name. I was connected almost immediately. "Hello, emergency service operator. Which service do you require?"